Interesting thing about my life, always felt very fortunate that I never broke a bone in my body over all these years. I was very active. I played golf, did a lot of gardening, lifting bags and things like that. It was interesting how it came about. We were in a place called Tromsø, Norway, a little north of the Arctic Circle, and we were on a coach taking us to a site. And when we got off the coach, it was on a slant. And I thought it was just snow, because obviously there was plenty of snow there, but it was ice. And stepped with my left foot and slipped and fell directly on my hip. And as soon as I did that, I knew that I could not walk on that leg. It was just way too painful. But the x-ray they took was a direct shot of my hip. And in that particular shot, they couldn't see any sort of fracture. And they had to fly us into London. It was a very grueling experience because you have to get off and on buses, which are elevated. But I managed to do it and wound up in Tampa. And the next day, my general physician, they took an x-ray, but this time they said, obviously you have a fracture of the femur head. Well, they immediately said, total hip.
When Dr. Garber came into the emergency room there, he was identified with a hip fracture on the left side. But there's several different types of hip fractures. Specifically, one of the types is a femoral neck fracture. When you identify with a femoral neck fracture in that patient population, the management of it is highly based upon the presentation, mostly alignment. And we have a classification for that. And so he was identified with a Garden 1 femoral neck fracture. And our plan was to go ahead and stabilize the bone. It's very important for me, in my practice, for patients of this age, that mobility be maintained immediately. Whatever the fracture is, I want to be able to have my patients mobile as possible. I've converted over to using SimpliFix for my femoral neck fractures, primarily because it maintains the limited surgical dissection, limited blood loss, limited risk of anesthesia, has shown already to have lower length of stay, allows my patients to be weight-bearing, and all of that with the fixation strategy and novel implant, which provides me with the equal stability and better length control than I had previous. For Dr. Garber, we took him to the operating room. We make a small incision over the side of the hip, and we place our screws into the ball. And then we use a special targeter unique to SimpliFix that allows us to put a screw crossing through one of the screws to control our length. I believe he was discharged day 2 from the surgery. Dr. Garber's follow-ups have been amazing. He's been primarily pain-free from the first visit, which was at 2 weeks. If I'm not mistaken, he asked when he could get back to Pilates at his 2-week visit. X-rays from initial follow-up till now have been fantastic. The bone is already healing. The implants are in good position. Everything is going as planned, if not better. Most recently, I saw Dr. Garber at about his 6-week visit, and he's been doing great. Again, had to spend more time trying to tell him what I don't want him to do than what he can do, because he's doing that well. What's unique about SimpliFix is the fact that it is allowing me to get the stability that I would have otherwise had to achieve with a bigger procedure, while still allowing me to keep the benefits of a minimally invasive procedure. It's a perfect balance.
I gave them the go-ahead, and lucky that they did. I still have all my own anatomy and delighted with it. 24 hours later, I had the procedure done. Honestly, it was on Friday morning, and I was out Saturday afternoon. Never really had pain, and was able to begin to walk with a walker a couple of days after that. Had a cane, but never really used the cane. And a couple of weeks later, I actually started to go without it. Now, we had a newborn baby in Sacramento, and so they had planned this trip. We had rented a home on, Lake Tahoe. It was going to be a big family event. We couldn't miss it. So actually I flew out there almost about 4 weeks afterwards. I have great range of motion. So pleased that I can walk very comfortably. I'm a gardener. I'm out there in the garden pulling, doing things, maybe a little bit more than I should be. But really, I'm in no pain if I don't overdo it. And I'm walking and pleased as I could be about how positive the whole thing was. I believe this is a tremendously innovative idea. I tend to be more of a mechanical engineer type of individual, And the mechanics of this procedure just seemed brilliant. And I'm just delighted that I was one of the fortunate ones that actually had it done.